5 o'clock, and the Goldsboro City Council regular meeting Monday, November 15th is called to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Ham,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak,
Present.
Councilmember Jones,
Present.
Councilmember Broadway,
Here.
Councilmember Matthews,
Present.
Councilmember Gaylor,
Present.
Councilmember Aycock.
Here. Okay, we're all present. Next item is adoption of the agenda. Does anyone have any item they would like to add to the agenda? There being none, ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second?
Second.
You made it. Councilman Broadway, a second.
Yes.
All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. The agenda is approved. We have no old business. We have new business, and the first item on the business is the North Carolina Freedom Fest presentation of 2022 for next year. Mr. Doug McGrath.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity to present for next year. So before I run through next year, maybe we'll start with this year. So one of the objectives that we had from Jump Street on this was to bring the base and community together in a family-friendly setting downtown. I think by all accounts, we successfully accomplished that objective. The feedback that we had from folks that attended, folks that didn't attend, but paid attention to what we were doing was generally very supportive. Don't read into that means we were perfect. We've got a long laundry list of after action items that we think we can do better. But the partnership of the City of Goldsboro, Seymour Johnson, Goldsboro Elks, DGDC, the Merchants Association, the Arts Council, the History Museum, Chamber of Commerce, and the Military Affairs Committee, I think all seamlessly blended together to provide the event for us. This just gives you a snapshot of a cross-section of the sponsors from the 2021 event. I put it up there just because I think it's an important demonstration of kind of how broad the support was for our event, even in a pandemic environment. This slide shows you a little bit about what we think the event did outside of just bringing people together. So if you see in the bottom right-hand corner, the economic impact report projects that it produced something in the neighborhood of $354,000 worth of economic lift to the community. You can see the elements there. So it's quantified in terms of employment. And that really speaks to like the vendors that were there, the folks that came and put up the tents and all the tables and chairs, the people that put up the kids' activities, all of the food trucks, literally everything that happened in terms of being able to produce the event. So we could quantify the number of people that worked and then estimated the number of hours for each of those elements and estimated the hourly wage for those various positions to come up to a total of $45,142 in terms of wages as a result of the event. Businesses, so we polled businesses, downtown merchants, so we could kind of get a benchmark for a typical weekend day, and then again polled to get an idea what their volume looked like the day of the event. So looking at the downtown merchants and the food trucks that were there, we quantified that as an additional $115,000 of spending in the community. The pure expenditures from NC Freedom Fest, the checks that we wrote for the various services, where we were buying services in the community, $71,825. Operating costs, so this is a little bit nebulous, but this really reflects the costs that some of the vendors had to actually produce whatever services or food or products that they were providing. So that was estimated at $14,515. It's estimated that for the series of events, and I think this number probably is low, but that's how we have approached any of the numbers. The number of visitors was 11,386 people that visited Goldsboro as a result of Freedom Fest. quantifying an average investment they made in our community of $7 per, which is a pretty soft number. That's $79,702, so a total of $354,000. And whether we argue over any of the nits and nats in those numbers is not really the point. I mean, we could argue up, we could argue down, but the reality is, in addition to putting on something that really brought our community together at a time that we needed that, it also provided economic benefit to the community. So looking ahead, what we expect for 2022 is to kind of return back to the part of the calendar where we initially occupied, which is Armed Forces Day. So the third Saturday in May will be the main event, if you will. That's May 21st of 2022. The Thursday prior to that, we would have a Center Street Jam. We may brand that again as Grub at the Hub or something else, but we would blend those elements together. And as you'll recall, this year we did the Freedom Fest in September, so there were some other base-related activities that naturally blended in with our event, like the POW MIA Remembrance event. Those things, obviously, when we shift back to a May date, those don't change. Those will remain static as September events. So we'll be able to streamline a little bit in terms of, as you all will recall, a very busy calendar that we managed for the week leading up to Freedom Fest. This will be a little bit more rifled in terms of the targeting and the event itself. But for the main event, it will look very much the same. So we'll have the kids' activities, we'll have the car and bike show, craft vendors, static displays from not just Seymour Johnson, but the National Guard, food trucks, and live music. So we're already working right now to lock in headline performers. Believe it or not, it's already that time where we have to get them under contract or we're not going to have the choices that we want. So the site would be, once again, from Center Street, from Ash down to Spruce. The main events would be at the Hub, in the empty lot, the City Field, as I refer to it during the week of the event, Freedom Field. So you have to just excuse that. City Field at 207 South Center would be where we once again expect to hold the event. And this just gives you the reminder of all of the things that we did from literally from Ash down to Spruce. There was activity. There were some people that never even got down to the main event location and some people from the main event that never got north to the car and bike show. But that's simply a tribute to the size of crowd that we had. So our hope is that we can, use more public address announcements and figure ways that we can market and kind of steer people better so that we get that traffic moving. But it literally, as we propose, would go from Ash to Spruce. And I'm here to make an ask. So our ask is that we would once again receive consideration and support from the City of Goldsboro. This is not an easy event to put on. And the numbers that I shared earlier were the hard numbers for people that were paid to help us with the event. We had over 100 volunteers spanning the couple of weeks leading up to the event. This is not easy for us to put on. And for us to do what we envision doing, I think it would once again require the coordination and support of the city, the base, the various nonprofits. I think we need to broaden our reach, if you will, to bring more volunteers and other groups to the table. But it's our hope that the city would once again support the concept of Freedom Fest and support us so that we can produce the event. And we'll do most of the heavy lifting if you'll just have our back. So, any questions?
I'll ask one question and I want to make a comment. Did Colonel Morrison reach out to you, or you reach out to him and you got that support for next year?
Yes. So we were kind of late in the cycle this year, but to the outside world, they never realized that. The static displays blended right in. Again, it was kind of seamless. The expectation is that they would support us again next year.
I spoke to him afterwards and last week, as a matter of fact, and he was very anxious to support this program again next year. I don't know if he'll still be the brigade commander. He might be a one-star by that time. I don't know. But anyway, he's going to support us.
He'll put us in touch with the right people.
Yeah, right, definitely.
Yeah.
And we did brief this last week at the Freedom Fest at the State of the City presentation. And the third thing is I can't speak for the council, but I can suggest to you that the city will support this event again next year. So
Outstanding.
we'll see what comes up in between that, but we do know it was very successful. A lot of people, as you said, came to Goldsboro for this event, so it just makes good sense for us to be very supportive of it.
You know, hopefully the next couple of years we grow this and it becomes a marquee event that people have on their calendar, that automatically think of Armed Forces Day as that weekend that they need to be in Goldsboro, and it becomes a stronger regional draw. So we'll keep doing what we can do.
Very good. Any other comments?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Do we have general council support of doing this again?
Excuse me?
General council support of the city providing staff support from Parks and Rec, fire, police, everything that went into it? Just
Does
wanna make
everyone
sure
agree
and
we'll
you're
support
good
it?
with the date?
We're
so
not
that
going
they
to take
can
a
plan
vote per
ahead?
se.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Okay, Doug, thank you, sir. Next item is the FY 2021 physical update, finance. Ms. Catherine. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So the city manager asked me to put together a 6/30/21 update so we could talk to council and kind of give you a quick overview of how things have turned out. I state that these are unaudited numbers, but and we haven't been through, fine point checking everything, but I think these are going to be pretty good estimates. So if you'd advance the slide for me, please, or am I supposed to do that? Okay, all right. It's like walking and chewing gum, huh? The other one? There we go, down, okay. So this first slide, we're looking at a comparison of the actual revenues coming in for the current and prior. So this would be 6/30/21 is in the first column, and then the prior year for fiscal 20 is in the second column. And the third column shows you an increase or decrease over the prior year. As you can see, I think I would probably call attention to, our taxes. They were 17.2 million. In the prior year, it was 16.9. And we had a bit of a bump up, but we also did have a valuation where we reassessed, had our octennial reevaluation. Our sales tax was up about 1.3 million from the prior fiscal year. And, even with COVID, we found that the sales did kind of go through the roof, so we were very fortunate in that manner as well. Our utility franchise tax did go down, but as I was looking at that, I think there may be a prior fiscal year audit entry that's affecting that. So I don't want to say it went down 627,000. That, again, that's tentative. And then overall, our total revenues that came in fiscal 21 were 41.9 million, and in fiscal 20 it was 40.3 million. Now, in both years, there is debt of approximately $1 million that did not get taken until fiscal 22. That debt did not close until July of this past year in fiscal 22. So that impacts those bottom line numbers. And then I want you just to be aware that in fiscal 21, it's not shown because this is actual money coming into the door. We appropriated fund balance in fiscal 21 of $450,000, which primarily that was to fund the Tiger project, part of that match. And then in fiscal 20, the fund balance appropriation was approximately $3.49 million. So it was a significant appropriation, and that had to do with our PO rollovers. Okay. Next, we're looking at budget to actual, and again, this is revenue coming in. So when you look at our taxes, we had budgeted $17.1 million, and we had $17.2 million come in, so we had 100% collection of what we budgeted. Now, that's not the entire tax levy because that's a calculation, but because we can only budget at our last collected rate. But I think that's positive news when we see even with COVID, we still were collecting appropriately, which I mean, that's good news for the city. It's good news for our cash flow. We have in our sales tax revenue, we had budgeted $9.8 million and we collected $10.6 million. And then in our other agency revenues, I have budgeted $1.5 million and we collected $1.4 million. And that's made up of a lot of different things. We have the pilot tax, FEMA, the GWTA garage reimbursement, cable TV, solid waste, signal reimbursement, transportation grant, and so forth, make up that $1.5 million. So it's a lot of different types of other agency revenues. Excuse me. Our service fees from the utility fund, so those are the services that the general fund provides to participating funds like stormwater and utility fund. So that would be for general administrative like council, manager, human resources, finance, so forth. The charges for services, that $4.98 million budgeted, and we had $4.9 million coming in. That would be like your park and rec fees, your GEC, your golf, Paramount, and garbage fees. Capital returns, that one, you know, we only had a 13.6 return on that, 1.4 budgeted, and 195,000 collected. Primarily, that has to do with the debt that did not get taken in fiscal year 21. In our other revenues, that part of that is miscellaneous grants, insurance proceeds when we have accidents, just miscellaneous revenue. But the biggest piece that I wanted to mention there in fiscal 21 is the Vitus deal, that the home renovation, the apartment renovation. The city received $160,000 in that particular line item in fiscal 21. That was a one-time payment to the city. And that did not include the money that got set aside for the playground. The money that got set aside for the playground is in a special revenue fund just to take care of the playground. So when you look at the fiscal year 21, we had budgeted $43.6 million and we collected $41.98 million, which was 96.23% of what was actually budgeted. Okay. In Stormwater Fund, this page contains the budget to actual and then the current and prior year comparisons. Because the stormwater fee is fairly constant, you're looking at about $1.5 million as far as the service revenue that's coming in. And the difference would be generally the loan proceeds. And so in the budget to actual, we had $1.96 million budgeted, we had $1.59 million collected, and that's because the loan did not get taken out. That's why it fell a little bit short of what was actually budgeted in total overall revenues. And I did want to make a statement because I think there's been some discussion about stormwater projects. And so I was discussing with the manager today, approximately there's about $1.1 million in fund balance through fiscal 21 for the stormwater fund. That's made up of approximately prior years, it was $875,000. In fiscal 22, we have programmed $238,000. So I'm sorry, it's 6/30 of 22. We'll have about $1.1 million, and we can add between $225 and $250 per year to capital projects. So in June of this past year, the council authorized the adoption of a capital project ordinance for stormwater projects, and the council put aside $488,000. All of that went to contingency. So the council at some point will have to decide how it wants to spend that money. And so if like Jackson Street or Musgrave or all these things I hear the council talking about, you'll just have to tell the manager and communicate it to us so that I can bring it back to council to allocate it out of contingency, because that's required by law, into those projects. And then at that point, staff can actually start pursuing cost estimates and awarding projects and so forth. So I just want to give you that update in case you were wondering about that. So the stormwater, oh yes, sir.
on the stormwater fund, you know, we got 1.1 million, you say, in reserve?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to have an accounting for where the money has been spent on stormwater over the last year.
And sir, how would you like that broken down? Because most of that's operational costs, so you have
When you say operational cost, is that
salaries, benefits, and
to whom?
this would be in maintaining the stormwater system. So there really, as far as I know, and Rick Fletcher may have to weigh in on this, is that I don't think there were actually any stormwater projects other than like the Tiger project. So there was a lot of stormwater work that happened, but as far as like allocating money out and saying that on Musgrave Manor we spent $250,000, all the rest of it has been in projects. If they've done them, the staff has done those projects, and they've paid for those materials and supplies that's been out of the operating budget. But, you know, Rick can probably give more information on that, but that's what we would be looking at.
Well, you know, I'd just like to see where they're being spent in specific areas. You know, we have a lot of areas in this city that are flooding, and it's not just one person's district, it's everybody's district.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, we're collecting these stormwater funds, and we have to be held accountable to where they're being spent. And if they're being spent basically on nothing but salaries and operational costs,
Right.
then I don't think we're making the best use of this money.
I'm probably not choosing my word very well, so I apologize. So I believe that in the city work system that Rick Fletcher's crew manages, they have it by project, so they could identify the areas that they're doing the work on. So, I mean, I think I would let him address that, and I can help him with where the totals are as far as the numbers. I can help him with that.
Well, I know most of these guys in the storm water and all that who do the repairs and whatever. I think I know the most of them. And they were doing the same thing before we collected this money.
Okay. It's a fair statement, so we'll need to work on that.
We'll bring back a
Yeah.
presentation for you,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. So in the utility fund, again, this is a comparison of the actual current to prior fiscal 21 to fiscal 20. And I've got this as far as your current water charges, 7.5 million in fiscal 21, 7.2 million in fiscal 20, and we did have a rate increase that's in there. Sewer, 9.5 million in fiscal 21, not a little over 9 million in fiscal 20, for a total of in fiscal 21, 20.9 million collected, and in fiscal 20, 20.3 million. And again, there was a rate increase between these 2 years as well. Okay. Then in our budget to actual, for the current charges for services, I just want to look at the bottom line total. We had budgeted a little over 18 million when we did the adjusted budget for fiscal 21. We collected a little over 18.7 million. And then I want to point out as well, in other revenues, we had budgeted 559, and we actually collected a little over 2 million. The biggest part of that is the FEMA reimbursement for Hurricane Florence, where the utility fund fronted the money to do the projects, and then once they got obligated and approved by FEMA in Washington, then we were able to return the money, which that happened in fiscal 21. And then the other, we estimated low on the case farms violations, because we were expecting their new system to go online. So we were told when we did our Stantec study that we should ramp that number down, and they still had not gotten the system online. So we actually had like another $455,000 that we collected that we hadn't anticipated because of that. Ms. Jones?
Yeah, I was gonna wait until you
Oh,
finish.
yes, ma'am.
Because I wanted to know, does this utility, I know we received 4.4 million. So does this reflect the money that we allocated that would go to the utility fund?
When you say
Is it in this budget?
the 4.4, like the ARPA money?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, no ma'am, it is not. It is not. The ARPA money is actually been set aside in a grant project fund. So the whole 8.9 million is there. I brought that to council in June. And so we set aside a part of the money for revenue replacement in the general fund, and there was a little over 4 million, Tim,
What's
it
it?
was 4 million in the water sewer projects that we
So
set
we
aside.
split, we split 1.7 to revenue shortfall, and then
mhm.
about 2.6, 2.7
2.6,
to
yeah.
the utilities.
So that money is the 2.7 that the council set aside is sitting in that grant project fund. It's nowhere in this operating budget for the utility fund yet.
You know, this we're covering 2021, that would be 21, 22 cycle.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then the other 4 million is just sitting in a contingency depending on what the council decides to do with the money. So if you decide to approve one of those other economic plans that they have that you can spend the money on, then we will have to bring it back to council for you to assign it to that. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, so overall, 18.7 million budgeted. We collected a little over almost $21 million. And I'm scooting along now into the downtown municipal service district and the occupancy.
Catherine, could you real quick, on that 2 million on other revenues?
Mhm. Yes, sir. So, again, that was the FEMA reimbursement. That's about 1.4 million. And then the case farms was about 455,000. So that's the bigger portion of why we were so far over what was budgeted. So we budgeted 559 and we collected a little over $2 million. But that's why it's the FEMA and then the case farms violations, okay? All right, and then in the municipal service district, it's pretty steady. I mean, it's roughly about 95,000 in property taxes, and that stayed pretty much the same. So we actually collected 94.9, and we had 93,000 in the prior year. Occupancy tax, a little over $1 million, so it's within like 2 or 3% both between fiscal years 20 and 21. Even with COVID going on. So I think that's good that we've got that stability there in that revenue. And then on budget to actual, so in the downtown MSD, we had budgeted 117,000. We actually collected 95, but part of that there's an appropriation of fund balance in there, so that's why you're seeing it's only 80% collected there. Occupancy tax, again, we had budgeted 1.2 million, had a little over $1 million come in. Again, they had a fund balance appropriation of like 150-some thousand, so that's why you're not seeing, a higher percentage collected to the budget. Okay, but pretty steady. I think that's the message I think I want y'all to take away with that. And so when we look at the grand total, we're looking, so these are the same numbers I showed you on the previous slides. These are the actuals, not the budget. So between all the operating funds that we deal with, in fiscal 21, we had 65.6 million collected. In fiscal 20, we had 63.3 million. The difference is a positive increase of a little over $2.2 million. Okay. All right, and then this is a real brief look at expenditures. So I just summarized it by fund. So in looking at the budget to the actual, so if you've got under and over in the far column, if we were overspent or NSF, it would be in brackets. So you can see what we had budgeted and what we spent was under, okay? So to the tune of the fact that we had 65.6 million budgeted, we had 58.6 million spent, so we had lapsed back into fund balance essentially like $6.9 million. So, we have to look at what money's coming in. You try not to overspend what you collect. So we talked about that in February about trying to keep pace with our cash flow so we don't, because we're waiting like in December to try to get our tax collection. We get a lot of tax collections in December and January. So we try to ramp the spending down until we get the money in, and then we try to let it go out. Because if something happens and you have a pandemic or a COVID and you have to shut everything down, you don't want to be hung out that I've spent $5 million more than what I've collected. So we really do try to watch that. And the department heads are really good about paying attention to that when we ask them to be careful with the spending.
Catherine,
Sir.
just for clarification again, the surplus, for lack of a better term here, of the 6.9 million, at the end of the 2021, what portion of that went into the fund balance?
So we're going to look at that. I'm going to show you another nicely little color-coded
okay,
sheet.
good.
So again, if the revenues, if we budgeted and then I'm short on the revenues, it's still okay because as long as you've shorted on the spending, the net, but you're going to see that. I did a little color-coded sheet next.
Okay, fine.
Okay, and then my next one is on fund balance appropriations, because this is something that, the LGC focuses on, is basically when you take money out of the piggy bank. That's what they're concerned about. So in fiscal '21, it's a huge improvement. We only appropriated $450,000 out of the general fund, and that was all MPO rollovers. And the prior year, I think we were close to $2 million, and overall it was like $3.5 million. So I think we've done a good job of cutting that down. So PO rollovers for everything. With the occupancy tax fund, money was appropriated for the Bryan Multisports lighting, which is like $110,000, and about $40,000 for advertising. That's why you're getting that $155,000. And then in the stormwater, we appropriated $185,000 to help reimburse the Tiger Fund for the stormwater work that got done in that design build contract that did Center Street. So total for all the funds, $954,000. And I think when you look at the fact that you're talking about like a $65 million annual operating budget total, I think we're getting much better. Obviously we would like to see zero if possible, but I think we're doing a much better job.
So what you're basically saying is we had to take $954,000 out of our current fund balance.
Out of our savings account, yes, sir. So, when we talk about, like I mentioned the stormwater fund, 1.1 million in fund balance. So it had positive fund balance even after the 185,000. The occupancy tax fund was rolling about 450,000 in fund balance. So there was fund balance to make that $155,000 appropriation for the lighting and the advertising. So, and I've expressed my concern over the general fund balance. We're kind of close as far as like that statutory limit. But I think what you're going to see when I show you next is that we are on track to replenish it. And I think that's, an important message, for the council to take away. All right. Gosh, I'm sorry. That is really tiny. I'm sorry. So this is comparing budget to actual with an over and under budget. Now, what you have to bear in mind, this is revenues and expenditures. So what I did was, if it's red means in the red, green means okay, all right? So even though if you look, for instance, at the general fund, we had a $43.6 million budget. We collected $41.9 million. So we were under what we had projected by $1.6 million. And I will say that the majority of that, there's like 1.2 million that was debt borrowing. That got accomplished in July. So in fiscal '22, that debt borrowing comes back onto the books. It is not budgeted. So that's a plus up in your fund balance. So what I'm telling you is that 1.6 million in red is a timing difference. That's the difference between June 30th and July the 9th when the loan closed, okay? Now, on your expenditures, you had 43.6 million budgeted. We spent 39.4. So the departments had appropriation to 43, but they only spent 39.4. That's a plus up, that's why it's in green, of $4.1 million. When you take the net of those two, it's $2,524,000, which means you are $2,524,000 to the good. Now, I qualify this, these are not audited numbers, but I think they're going to be pretty close. So as we talked before when I did the update in February, it was going to be probably a $3 million dip in fund balance in 20. So, I'm prepared you then, I'm preparing you now, but we're bringing that back. That is part of the reason that the council made the decision to do the property tax increase, was because we knew we needed to get that fund balance back up. So we're on the road to getting that done. So that's why, I mean, you should be concerned every day. The LGC wants you to be concerned. I want you to be concerned. But I just want to tell you, you know, we can't be doom and gloom about everything because we got to do the business of the city and serve the citizens. So things are looking up, and I just want to, you know, give you that message. In the utility fund, same scenario. We had about $18.7 million budgeted. We actually collected a little over almost $21 million. So the reason that's in brackets minus 2.1 million, it means we collected more than we budgeted. So that's green, it's good. And then on the expenditures, we only spent 16.2 million. So we're to the good about 2.4. So when you have to do the math on that, it's a minus. That's why we're 4.6 million to the good in the utility fund. But also remember too, now there's like $1.4 million in that number. That's a FEMA reimbursement. So it's not just your utility rate increase, okay? But you also had departments trying to save money, and we're trying to ramp it back. Plus also COVID, I think, impacted how we spent some of that money as well. Stormwater fund, the revenues, again, it's red minus 369,288 because the borrowing did not get completed until fiscal 22. Expenditures, the departments were very tight on their spending, so they saved 177. So net overall, they are down. It's red. It's down 191,000. But also remembering, I did the transfer of the 185,000 to pay back the Tiger Fund for the stormwater work. That was programmed in as an appropriation of fund balance. So we knew it was going to go down at least 185,000. Okay. Downtown, they're to the plus 57, almost 58,000. They had almost expended down all of their fund balance because if you remember, the council authorized the building of the stage, and that took, I think, about 100,000 out of their fund balance. So they're going to be plus up 58,000 in fiscal 21 to rebuilding their fund balance again. Occupancy tax fund, they're down a net of a total of about 66,000. But again, remembering there's a $155,000 appropriation of fund balance for the lighting and the advertising. So we knew it was going to go down. So part of that, even though the revenues didn't quite come in, they didn't spend as much. So that plus up is not 155 down, it's only 65. So all in all, the net change in all of your operating funds is just shy of $7 million to the good in fiscal 21. And so I think the manager and the staff, we're all trying to take a conservative approach to spending. Don't spend it unless you absolutely have to, because we don't know if there's going to be another COVID wave coming about. So we're trying to be very diligent in that and watch the spending like we did in fiscal 21, trying to recover from the pandemic. And I guess if anybody has any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer.
What's our fund balance now?
In the general fund, I'd have to go back and look. I'd hate to say a number.
Percentage-wise, I'm talking about.
Okay, so with the fiscal 19 audit, it was, I think, around 11%. And I'm just going to say, just like I said in February, there is a chance that it'll go 8% or below, okay? But the conversations that I have with the LGC, because I stay in contact with them, is that with operating results like this, we're on the way back up. And the thing I think the council has to keep in mind is that if the fund balance goes below the 8%, we have to make a plan. Well, we've done that already. And I think that's where you have to look at. We took the fund balance policy. It requires 3 years of action to get it back to the 15%. I think probably what the council, the biggest thing you're going to have to wrestle with is not getting it back to the 15%. It's going to be the LGC, I think, is going to tell you your fund balance is still too low. They would prefer that we be at least half of what the median fund balance is of units our size. So you would be somewhere in that 22 to 25% range. But I'm going to tell you, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of savings. I mean, you're probably trying to save over $1 million a year to try to get it to that. And there's so many other needs. I think if the council wants to go do that, we need to amend that fund balance policy and maybe work it in over a period of time, maybe say 5 to 7 years, and say, next year we want it to be 16% once we get back to the 15. And then maybe do like 5% increase like every year in order to get it, if that's where the council wants to go. But that's one thing I think the LGC would probably have issue with the council, is they would say it's too low. So, okay.
Catherine,
Yes, sir.
you're presenting this and you're presenting it very well. Best I've seen in the years I've been on the council.
Thank you.
And if it had not been presented to us in this way in the past, how would we as a council know what was really going on?
I think communication is the key. I think trying to bring it to a level where the board and the public can understand it, and I think asking questions. If the council has questions of me, ask me. I mean, I'll talk all day long if you want me to, but that's really, it's a communication factor, and so I try to do the best I can to make you aware.
I'm not criticizing you at all, but what I'm trying to say is, if we don't get the information, and I don't think anybody on this council knows how to get financial information and has that knowledge, how would we know that we were getting into the situation that we are in right now or were in a year ago?
I agree with you. I think the LGC is recognizing that, and so they are trying to start offering classes for boards so that they understand what should you be looking for. Because obviously the books and records of Goldsboro are going to be different than Aden or Mount Olive or Kinston. So I think you all have to have training to know that, because I can't assume what you know. So yes, you have to ask questions, and if there's not enough, you need to ask more so we can dig. And I think having staff on my side helps, because it allows us to have the time to be able to address those bigger picture issues, to provide you that information. And maybe that's part of the problem, is there wasn't enough staff there to be able to update the council like they should have been.
I also think there was too much trust from the council.
Could be. And it's okay, I don't mind being questioned, so, we've got a lot of information that we can provide to the council in different manners. Obviously, ahead of time helps us because it allows us to plan our work and to get you the information as quickly as possible. So.
Well, I think in the past, we were said, finance director came up and said, everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we accepted it.
Right. And you should.
And we had no reason not to.
Right. And it is okay. And if there is information I can provide for the council, either quarterly or monthly, I'd be glad to. I mean, if you can talk to me and give me an idea, then we can probably figure it out and present something that I think would be of use to you to help you monitor things.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mhm.
Catherine, you just mentioned the word that I was going to mention, quarterly. You do come in here from time to time and provide us updates or issues to deal with. But to Councilman Aycock's comments, why not come to us on a regular basis, quarterly basis, and give us an update?
Sure.
And in any time in between that the situation prompts or requires that you do so. But then, by coming in here on a scheduled basis, then that educates us, keeps us informed, and gives us an opportunity to ask those questions.
Sure, I'd be glad to. And I think now, I like to feel like I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So I do think doing that is doable, where I'm not, down in the weeds trying to get things done. I do feel like probably we've got the time. We could do that, absolutely.
And we're approaching a period in the January, February timeframe when there's going to be that influx of money coming in. So maybe, of course, we're in the middle of November now, but I would suggest looking at the end of February or first part of March, coming back and giving us an update.
Sure. Be glad
We're
to.
actually
Or come
gonna be
back any other
required-
time. Sorry.
We're actually going to be required to report that information, a 6-month update and a 9-month update to the LGC. So Catherine should be able to present that to you shortly thereafter.
Okay.
Sure can.
Very
Yep,
good.
sure can.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, thank you.
Good
And
job.
thank you, I appreciate that. And I think I've got the next item. This is the low-income household water assistance program. This was kind of like a last-minute thing. We've got a deadline we need to meet on that. The low-income home water assistance program, also called LIWAP, is a federally funded program that was implemented by the Administration of Children and Families. LIWAP provides assistance to low-income households with water and wastewater bills, and it helps them to either reconnect or avoid disconnection. There was a total of $38 million that was allocated to North Carolina, and that will be distributed to each county by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. You have before you, and I'm reading, I didn't have time to do a memo, so I apologize for that, so I'm just reading some comments that I had. The proposed agreement that you should have had in your packet is between the city as a water and sewer provider and Wayne County through DHHS, who is going to administer the program, which will help low to moderate income families pay their water and sewer bills. This program was a result of COVID-19, which was trying to help families keep safe drinking water and wastewater services. There's an old program that you may be familiar with called LIHEAP, which was the Low Income Energy Assistance Program from the 1980s. It helps with like heating fuel, electricity, gas, and so forth. The new LIWAP program was modeled after LIHEAP. These are federal grant award funds that are being given to the county DHS to administer. As a provider of water and sewer services, the city is eligible to enter into an agreement with the county so that eligible customers can receive the LIWAP benefits. Part of the agreement I want to mention is a data share agreement where the city will provide personal utility account information to the Wayne County DSS to help the agency match customers with the assistance. So what it'll do is when we upload, we'll have, this will be electronic data transfer. IT will help us with that. That we'll send all of this customer information, so it's like name, social security number, phone numbers, addresses, and so forth, will get sent securely to DHS, and they match their clients in their system and then say, we've got a match, so we could help someone avoid disconnection. So as I understand the agreements, this is just for customers that are disconnected or in danger of being disconnected. This is not every customer in our system, so I just want you to understand that. LIWAP will be made available to 3 different groups on a priority basis. Group 1 is they're disconnected from their water. Group 2 is they're in jeopardy of being disconnected if they have no further action. Group 3, they have current water services, but they need assistance to maintain that service being on. So this will work very similarly to other assistance programs that the city currently participates in, whereby we'll receive a check or a direct deposit from DHS, and we will apply it to that customer's account. We are required to refund any credit balances on a customer's account back to DSS up to the amount of the assistance that they provide. And I believe there's a 90-day window, so we can't cut people off in a 90-day window with that. So it's trying to help keep those folks on if we accept this agreement. It is the staff recommendation that the city council approve this agreement and, and authorize me to be able to sign it. So, I mean, I'll be glad to take any questions. It's a good program. I think it'll be a great help to our community.
I want to go back and again, have you clarify, because I was under the impression in my initial reading of this and discussion is that we were going to be required to provide all customer data, all customers for the database program.
Well,
And you just said it would be those individuals or those customers who are in that
Yes, sir.
area.
Disconnect or in danger. So I went back to reread the agreement again, and what I saw, I believe, said just customers disconnect or going to be disconnected. So, we'll definitely clarify that, because obviously that is a lot of customer data for us to release,
Right.
Because you might be talking about like 400 or 500 customers, every time we do a billing cycle. Total in a month, and where you're talking about 15,000, right? So that's an awful lot of personal information. So we'll confirm that when we work with IT and we work with DHS before we sign anything.
I know we're on a real good technology billing system, but is this information easy to retrieve?
For the IT folks,
No, for those individuals that are in that zone?
oh, yes, sir, that should not be an issue. We'll have to work with our software provider because QS1 is a proprietary system, so it's not like our IT folks can just dip into it and get the information out. So it'll be a partnership between QS1, IT, and finance to make sure we gather those customers. And one thing I did not mention is the money is available on December 1, so that's why there's this need to get the agreement in place, because so the way LIHEAP and LIWAP will work, you're going to have way more requests than you're going to have money, and so the money will get soaked up pretty quickly. So that's why we want to get that in place so that we can be on the front lines of getting that money to help our customers.
And you'll update this information every billing cycle?
It has to be updated, I would think, by billing cycle, because that's how our cutoffs are going to work. So it's not going to be as massive, because let's say that if you're billing 4,000 customers in a single billing cycle, you might only have 50 or 100 or 150 cutoffs. So it's not going to be as massive as what it seems like when you talk about the number of customers that we have.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone else have any questions? Or
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Just so the general public knows, the wording in this says that the eligible household must have a income of below 150% of the federal poverty level. Can you give us a ballpark figure of what that might entail?
I'm going to have to go to my colleague, Miss Felicia Williams, because
Okay.
I don't know that answer.
The 150% of the poverty level, did you get the number on that? Oh, no. We'll have to get that to you, sir.
Thank you.
That's not my wheelhouse.
Okay.
Essentially, it's 1.5 times the poverty level income,
Yes, sir.
would be my understanding.
Which is in the 20s, isn't it?
In the 20s, yeah, just kind of want the
Probably.
viewers to kind of get a,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. We'll get that information
Okay.
so you can
Thank
let them
Yes, sir.
know. So,
Any other questions?
So we don't need to make a decision on this tonight?
yes, ma'am, I do. I need a.
If you want to enact it on
I-
December 1st.
My
So,
concern.
is there a motion to approve the city's participation in the low-income water assistance program and authorize the finance director to sign the agreement?
We have a question.
I want to say something first. My concern is the poverty level. This is great, but my concern is how you're going to identify the poverty level.
So there's an application process that DSS will go through with their clients. And so us participating in the program allows them, that clients put in for assistance, well then when we provide that information, it matches it and says, oh, okay, this client has a past due balance, we can help them. So that's it. It really, the beauty of it for us is we just have to provide our disconnect information on the customers, and DSS, they do all the work in the background as far as identifying the customers. Now, we will continue, as we do, is to tell people to please go and seek resources at the churches, at DSS, and get them to go to the places, because obviously they got to apply for it. So we definitely, all of our staff downstairs, they do a great job of directing folks in those areas.
Okay, so
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like to know how DHS actually identify these, because working at a food bank, you can have 6 or 7 in a household, and your poverty level could be a certain amount. It's different from a person poverty level being with one person. And so I don't want us to get hung up on, okay, well, there are 6 people in a household, so they should be making this amount of money, and so we can cut, they're not eligible. So that's,
DSS would make that decision, right? And then they would send it back to Catherine and say, hey, these people owe a water bill. And Catherine's department would say yes. And then they would make a decision to fund that cost.
So they essentially would cut us a check and say, okay, we want here 100 accounts, apply this amount to this particular account, and that's what we do. And I think, I don't know if it would be an idea to have the DSS director come and talk about what the program
I think
does,
it'd be an
maybe?
excellent idea.
Okay, so maybe the city manager staff can get in contact
We'll
with them
contact.
and get them to talk about that, so people
Okay.
know. I think that's probably a good
Yeah,
idea.
I really would like the constituents to know and really understand and really understand how to go to get this help, because it really is needed.
Mm-hmm. And there's
Okay.
probably a lot that don't know it too, so,
Right.
yeah, I agree.
Ms.
So,
Catherine, before
yeah.
I make a motion, I wanted to be clear that even though we have some reservations and we have some questions, this program is going to significantly help some of our residents who are struggling to pay their water bills. And for that alone, I stand in support of it, even though we have some reservations or questions about how necessarily this and that. I just wanted you to confirm that this can do nothing but help.
Absolutely. It's
So,
like the HOPE program. Yes, ma'am.
I want to make a motion that we approve the low-income household water assistance program vendor agreement with the Department of Social Services and Human Services.
I second.
And for the finance director to approve the, to sign the agreement, excuse me. So the motion was made, is there a second?
I second it.
Ms. Jones made a second. All in favor, raise your hand, please. All opposed? There are
Thank
none. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Catherine.
Next item is
Thank you,
council
ma'am.
committee discussion. You have before you a listing of the current positions that council serves on, and there are certain ones that are highlighted that we need to look at to replacing, and one not highlighted is Ms. Simpson Carter on the Transportation Authority, GWTA. So, am I correct, Madam Clerk?
Say that one more time, sorry.
Pardon?
What about Ms. Carter?
I said we should also consider the position of Ms. Simpson Carter on the GWTA.
That's up to council's discretion.
She was appointed as an employee, as an employee of the city. She no longer works for the city, so we if we want to, we can consider replacing her for that.
So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
We already talked about this, from my understanding, in the very beginning. So is it time for her to be replaced? Didn't we decide that she would stay until December?
Yes.
Didn't we talk about that?
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't understand. Help me understand why we're going back to this now, because we got until December. So are we talking about replacing her in January? Is
Is her term up in December, Laura?
I have to go back and review the minutes.
Okay.
I was under the impression that her term was up in December.
okay, so we're talking about it now. We're gonna talk about it today.
Well, we're talking about these other positions. So,
Okay, I wanna make sure that I hear and understand everything that goes on in this council.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking. Okay,
I think that we have another highlight that was omitted, and that is the mayor's term on the DGDC. It was a 3-year term. In 2019, I asked to be appointed to that board, and I was told that because it was a 3-year term, that the current mayor has 3 years, which would mean he did 1 year prior to 2019, so 3 years would be in December. So we need to consider replacing him as well. My concern, again, with the GWTA position is she was appointed as a city employee, so her position is currently blocking another potential city employee from sitting on that board. So if her term is up, the majority decided to keep her up there for whatever reason, but if her term is not up in December, we need to strongly consider removing her from this board as a city employee. If she wants to apply for the board like any other citizen and resident, she is able to do that, and I encourage her to do that. But to be holding this spot as a city employee when she is not a city employee is not fair. So it is something that we need to look at if her term does not expire. But if we're doing it today, I think we should look at this again today and consider, we can let her, serve out the rest of this month and the next one if that's what y'all decide, but I would rather a city employee, current city employee, be sitting in that position.
Well, if I recall, the city manager said that you do not have to be a city employee. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's my recollection. I'd have to go pull it again,
Okay.
but
And so we do have until December, is that correct?
we'll have to get, when the term's over.
Okay, all right.
While I understand that, he made that very clear. You don't have to be a city employee. However, this particular person was appointed as a city employee. We cannot omit that. So what is happening is a current city employee could not have an opportunity to sit on that board because this former city employee is still sitting there. So all I'm saying is we have to consider being fair across the board because other members were removed immediately from their boards once their titles and positions with the city changed. I mean, they were terminated immediately from their post, and this particular person was not. That's not fair. So we need to do right by the position. So, Laura, if that's something that you can actually find out, I don't want to say now, I'm not meaning it that way, but while we're in active discussion about it, that would be really, really helpful. Also, under current projects, we've got Mayor David Ham, and then we've got David Ham. So I'm not sure, does that mean we've got 2 positions open, or does that mean we have 1 position open?
1.
Okay. So are we adding the DGDC to replace you as well?
I don't have any problem with that, except the DGDC in their bylaws, they have the authority to accept any appointed person or reject the appointed person.
Okay.
So we can add that. So we've got DGDC, the Transportation Advisory Commission, the Military Liaison, Herman Park Center, and the Law and Finance. Would remove my name from all 3 of those. The bottom 3, Law and Finance, Herman Park Center, the Military Liaison Committee, and we have a vacancy in the Transportation Advisory Committee. And that's as an alternate position.
What does that mean?
I have a question.
Let me ask her, it means that you go to the meetings, but you serve as an alternate. You have no voting
Okay.
unless another member is not present.
Okay.
Law and Finance. Didn't we say that really wasn't functioning?
It is functioning,
It
but
is?
it's very seldom needed. An example, Habitat for Humanity is given a house that has taxes owed on it, and they would like to have the taxes waived. Then they would meet with the Law and Finance Commission or committee to discuss that, and the committee would make a decision to waive it or not waive it, as the case may be. That's an example. So does anyone want to nominate someone or volunteer?
I just want to make one comment. As far as GWTA goes, I was appointed to that committee in 2012. And at that time, I was the only city council member or city employee on that committee. Now, I dropped off of it after I was chairman of it, and then I dropped off of it, and Shacole Simpson Carter took my place. Now, and this is strictly my opinion, I think us having 3 people from the city on that particular committee, when the county only has 1, I think that's not necessarily what we want to do. And therefore, I want to remove myself from that committee and open it up to a private citizen. Someone who rides the buses, someone who knows what the bus system is like. You know, I know the inner workings of the GWTA, but I don't know what it's like to be a rider. Somebody who is using the GWTA every single day or several days a week. You know, so I'd like to clear up my position for someone from the general public.
I think that's very noble of you, Mr. Acott. I'm just not sure, because they have openings, and talking with Don and working with Don, I know they have particular seats for the public. So I'm not sure if we have and you mentioned that there were 3 city employees, and it's not. Right now it's only 2. There's 2 people represented. So if the county has 1 and we have 2, I don't know if the GWTA gave us that, or I think that's a question for Don. I don't know if we can change how they do business or how they fill the seats on their board.
So I can share their bylaws with you all. I can send that in an email in the morning. The city does appoint 3 members.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's Ms. Simpson Carter, Mr. Acott, and Bob Waller. So he's the last person that council approved.
But he was a general member, not as a city employee or
Right.
council member.
He's just one of the city's 3 appointees.
And he's asked not to be reappointed, correct?
He will expire this year, and then he's finished.
Let me go back and add one thing about DGDC. It is a private, non-profit organization, and the city does not appoint members to the board. They are invited by the DGDC to appoint.
So what does that mean, Mayor Ham? Because I didn't hear, I mean, that's a total contradiction of what you just said before. So I don't know. What I do know is in 2019, when I asked to be appointed to this board, you said you would like to continue the work you started, and you wanted to be considered for that board. We then came back to it, and all of a sudden there was a 3-year term attached to your appointment. Your term is up in December. So now what we're saying, this shouldn't even be on our decision-making paper if we don't have any control over who we appoint. If the DGDC does the appointment, then why is it on our paper to currently appoint someone?
You appoint, they would accept.
They can accept or deny, right? So which is it? Is it they have to recommend someone, or do we recommend someone and then they approve or deny? Which is it?
We can recommend, but we can't appoint anybody.
Right.
Okay, let's go down the list then. I'll start with the DGDC. Is there anyone that would like to be submitted as a candidate for that, or someone to recommend another council member? Anyone?
I would like to submit my name to be considered for the DGDC board.
Is there anyone else? Okay, if not, then we'll submit your name, Councilwoman.
Before we move on from that, Madam Clerk, if you could provide us with any type of information about that particular board or committee too, because I would like to know how many terms consecutively someone can serve or what that looks like, you know, because on our other boards, you know, after a certain while, they can no longer be reappointed to particular boards. So can you provide that information, not just for me, but for council? I appreciate it.
I think this, okay, all right. On the Transportation Advisory Committee, there's a position as alternate. Would anyone like to volunteer or be nominated for? I'd like to, okay. Mr. Mr. Gaylor has volunteered for that. On the Law and Finance, I'd like to nominate Councilman Gaylor for that position,
Thank you, sir.
the Law and Finance. Any other nominations? The Herman Park Center. Does anyone want to replace me on that?
Mayor Ham, is that the same thing as the Parks and Rec? That's different. It's different?
No, that's, it's different.
It is. May I answer it? May I answer it?
Sure.
That was when we were gonna build the new Herman Park Center. And, you know, people asked to be on that committee, or people were, and, you know, that's a committee that has not met in several years because, you know, we have put the Herman Park Center on hold. So, you know, it is different. That was just for the planning of the new Herman Park Center.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. My name is here, but I never got a
We
notification.
never had a
to have
meeting.
They never
Okay.
had a meeting.
Okay, I was gathering that from what you said, but,
Even when we were nominated, we never had a meeting because it was put on hold almost immediately after that.
so do we need it?
Eventually, probably.
There are some initial plans for that building. It would be a replacement of the one that's out there now on the corner of Herman and Ash Street. But we don't have the funds to build it. So,
We had gone all the way to engineering drawings.
And
Then the funds weren't there.
I spoke to Representative Butterfield this summer about funding for that, and made a good case. We actually submitted a request for funds to Representative Butterfield, but at this point, there's no funds forthcoming to build it.
If we'd have built it 4 years ago, as it was originally planned, it would probably cost us $2 million less than it will today due to all the increased prices. But, you know, we didn't, and now we have to figure out what we're gonna do in the future.
Okay, on the Military Liaison Committee, I'd like to nominate Councilman Pollock.
Thanks.
Going through everything, Madam Clerk?
You finished Herman Park Center?
Excuse me?
You finished Herman Park Center?
Mayor Hill.
Yeah,
Mayor Hill.
yeah.
With the Herman Park Center, is it worthy that we just simply table that one until such time as there's a reason to actually freshly appoint folks?
Well, based on history, yes,
Okay.
I would think so.
Then with that, just for the sake of avoiding slapping a name on something that isn't consequential, you know, I would move that we would table that particular committee appointment until such time as it becomes relevant.
Does anyone have any objections to that?
I second.
No.
Was that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you second. Any discussion? All in favor of tabling the Herman Park Center Commission, raise your hand. All opposed? This carried, so we'll table that one. Okay, that takes care of the boards and committees item.
Mayor, did you actually take a vote on appointing, like, for example, Councilmember Polak?
Let me go through them again.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
I didn't remember hearing a motion to do the actual appointments
Okay.
after you said it nominated.
Okay, I'm gonna, correct me if I leave anyone out. Is there a motion to appoint Councilman Gaylor to the Transportation Advisory Commission for committee? Councilman Gaylor appointed to the Law and Finance. Councilman Pollock appointed to the Military Liaison Committee, and Councilwoman Matthews recommended to the DGGC board. And I'll leave it at that. That's the
Got a
motion.
motion? I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Broadway, second by Mr. Pollock. Any discussion? Please raise your hand if you're in favor of this. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next thing, Madam Clerk, is the council meeting dates for 2022.
Good evening, council. Included in your agenda packet is a copy of the proposed meeting dates for 2022. The proposed calendar includes changes due to holidays, which includes Monday, January the 10th, and Monday, January the 24th. That would be a second and fourth Monday of the month due to holidays instead of our normal first and third. The next would be Monday, February the 7th. The proposal is for one meeting in February due to council retreat. Monday, July 11th, one meeting in July due to the holiday. And Tuesday, September the 6th, which is a change from the Monday to a Tuesday for a Labor Day holiday. We're also proposed retreat dates at this time for February the 21st and 22nd, which is a Monday and Tuesday, or a February 23rd and 24th dates, which are a Wednesday and Thursday.
We don't have that scheduled.
Okay, I'll get them to you for your review. At this time, if you'll just let me, once you review them, if you'll just kind of check your calendars and see if you have any changes to this, I'll send it out first thing in the morning to you guys. Ma'am?
You sent it with the agenda back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So y'all should have it.
I saw it.
But
It was on our tablets.
Yeah.
It's on our screen.
I'll make sure you have a copy in your email in the morning. If you can just review it, see if you have any changes you'd like to make, and then I'll bring it back for council approval at the next meeting.
Okay.
But we have a copy in our agenda
Yes, ma'am.
that's attached.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is the consent agenda. Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir. So planned. Actually, finances first, sorry.
Council, what I have, my first item is to accept the final bids for 412 East Walnut Street to Oliver Design. Council authorized staff to advertise for upset bids at the July 12th, 2021 meeting. Staff advertised and received a total of 6 upset bids through October 25th, 2021. Our final offer that we are presenting to council as required by the resolution passed on July 12th is to Oliver Design Group, LLC. Their offer amount was $9,500. The bid deposit was $475.50. The tax value is $6,210. The offer is at least 50% of the tax value. The bid deposit has been received in the form of multiple cashier checks and a money order. The upset bid amount was $9,290, which is 10% of the first 1,000 and 5% after the first 1,000. So the final upset bid of $9,500 satisfactorily meets the requirements of the resolution. There were no further bids received when the final upset period ended on October the 25th. Staff is recommending to council to adopt the attached resolution. We will have to send this to the county for their concurrence because it's a jointly owned property. And then the resolution allows the staff to finish up and transfer the property to Oliver Design Group once the county approves it. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to.
I don't think we've ever had somebody to offer over tax value.
It was spirited. We had at least 3 that were competing, and I guess it was just really a prime corner lot as to what we understood. So, I mean, we were extremely pleased to get such a good offer. So we were happy for the city, because I think it's great. It's going to go back to the general fund, yeah.
So I have a question. When does that rule of offering it to the adjacent property owner come into play?
So it depends. So you mean like it's a substandard type of lot? You mean?
Well, I'm not sure. I know a property previously, that's what had happened. So I'm just wondering, like.
So I think that, and we've had so many, we really have done a lot. That would come under that session law. I can't remember the number right off the top of my head, but that's special legislation for Goldsboro only. So if it's a substandard lot and planning has to help us make that determination, it can be offered to the adjacent property owners for $1. And so we would declare it surplus, and then the council would authorize that. But this piece of property, I mean, and really even a substandard lot doesn't necessarily have to go like that. But in this particular case, this is just a regular lot that could be sold. So that would be the case, I believe, Councilwoman Matthews, is it was substandard.
And to piggyback on her question,
Yes.
I've been speaking with a young lady that's a realtor. Her family owns a house on Carolina Street. There's an adjacent lot that's just been vacant. They're saying that the property owner is somewhere in South Carolina, spending a runaround with her situation, but she's trying to acquire that piece of land. So any information, I was dealing with Ms. Collins before she left in planning, but we kind of came to a dead end. So if you can give me any further information so she can at least get that land. Her family's wanting to just buy that lot. It was a house on the property. The house is now gone. It's just a vacant lot now. So any
Does she think that we own it, or thinks it's
no,
an
they
heirs
tracked
property?
down what, but she's just been going through a lot of, I mean, she's been dealing with this for like 4 years.
Really?
And the property's still there, it's just sitting there, it's next to her family's property, so anything I can do to help her follow up on that, I want to, and I'll have the actual address, I'll email you that.
That'd be
So
great.
you can look at it.
And I know that there was some legislation, they were talking about heir property. They were trying to get it through because you have so many that get split and families get split up,
Yes,
so.
ma'am.
But yes, if you would, then, I'll work with planning and with Octavius and see what we can find out for you.
Thank you,
Yep. So, that's all I have for that particular one. And then my next item, sorry. This is a concurrence item. So the county has sold a piece of property through tax foreclosure, and they conducted their upset bid process, and it was approved at their October 5th, 2021 meeting. So they have asked the city to concur with that so that they can proceed to issue the deed and get the proceeds for it. Their offer came from Bogan Properties LLC. The offer amount was $6,000. Bid deposit was $300. The tax value was $11,260. So their offer met that 50%, so that's why they're passing it forward. They've approved it. And so just tonight, we're asking for the council to adopt the resolution to declare that property surplus and authorize city officials to execute the instruments necessary to transfer the ownership to Bogan Properties.
Any questions?
That's all. Thank you.
Next item is the Goldsboro Christmas Parade.
Good morning, Mayor and council members. Item J on the agenda is the temporary street closure for the Goldsboro Christmas Parade. The annual Goldsboro Christmas Parade is one of the many local traditions helping to usher the holidays into the Goldsboro area. The parade is organized, coordinated, and sponsored by the Wayne County Chamber of Commerce. Street closing request for Saturday, December 4th, 2021 is as follows. The parade route south on Center Street beginning at Ash Street to Pine Street, going around the traffic circle, heading north on Center Street back to Ash Street, ending at Ash Street. The staging area, streets closed for staging, will be Oak Street between James and William, Vine Street between Center Street and William Street, Beach Street between John Street and William Street, Center Street from Oak Street to Ash Street. Additional streets closed for the staging area, Center Street from Holly Street to Ash Street and John Street from Holly Street to Ash Street. Additional closures recommended by the police department to manage traffic flow will encompass James Street from Oak Street to Ash Street from James Street to John Street, Mulberry Street from James Street to John Street, Walnut Street from James Street to John Street, Chestnut Street from James Street to John Street, Spruce Street from James Street to John Street, Pine Street from James Street to John Street, and Center Street at Elm Street. Parking restrictions, no parallel parking on Center Street from Pine Street to Ash Street. The time requested for the street closing is from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. Police have indicated that traffic will be restricted from 8 a.m. until 3:30 a.m. on all traffic stopped, it should be 3 p.m. and all traffic stopped at 3:30 p.m. The actual parade route will begin at 4 p.m. and end at approximately 7 p.m. As with all downtown events, affected city departments will be contacted and the following concerns are to be addressed. All intersections remain open for Goldsboro Police Department traffic patrol. 14-foot fire lane is to be maintained to provide access for fire and emergency vehicles. All activities, changes in plans, etc. will be coordinated with the police department, and the police and fire department and public works departments are to be involved in the logistical aspects of the event. It's recommended by motion to grant the requested temporary street closures of the sections of Pine Street, Spruce Street, Center Street, Walnut Street, John Street, Mulberry Street, Ash Street, James Street, Chestnut Street, Oak Street, Vine Street, and Beach Street for the for the Goldsboro Christmas Parade route staging area from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Saturday, December 4th, 2021, as stated above. Any questions?
I only have one. How are we going to notify citizens that there will be no parallel parking from Pine Street to Ash Street?
My understanding is there should, now citizens, I know as far as merchants, there should be the merchants' email should go out to advise the merchants, and then we'll use our social media, the Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, the PSA, to push out to the public in general for the.
But let's say somebody doesn't get that notice.
Then they'll find out when they get down there prior to the event. We'll have officers on scene to direct people to who can and can't, where they can park and help direct.
I just want to make sure they don't get towed when they hadn't.
You won't see one of us tow them, I can assure you that.
All right, just want to make sure.
We'll assist them any way that we can. We'll be down there early enough to know that anybody that does come down to try to park, we will guide them and assist them. We have no intention of towing anything.
I have a question, Chief. Not regarding this, but I had a couple people from District 5. My mother lives on Quail Drive, which is off the service road by First Church. A couple people had concerns. They were delayed from getting home for about 30 to 45 minutes as they had to take another route through the church parking lot. Let me ask you a question. Is a service road governed by the city, or was there no notification? Because that street, they literally wouldn't allow cars to go down the service road, and I know I didn't have any recollection of us having a road closing on that.
Yeah, that is regulated by the street. What event are we talking?
It was something Halloween event they had, and that road was literally closed from the first entrance of First Church Road all the way to the second entrance. And I had never noticed that before. I know they have Judgment House, and I've never seen that road closed like it was. My mom said, they had to make a beeline through the church parking lot, and it took her 45 minutes to get home because it was such a delay and traffic backed up, and people were having to go through the neighborhoods.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a street. A private entity or the church or anything like that would not be able to shut down a surface street like that. If they did, that was incorrect. Not saying they did, but I will follow up with the church to see if that is the case.
Yes, sir.
And if so, we'll make sure that they're aware that they can't do that in the future.
Okay.
And then when they do have this event, to please notify us so we can assist with traffic. Because I don't think we've had an issue in the past with traffic that we've had to be involved in, but we'll talk to them to see if that is the case and to offer our assistance for the next event.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you. So next is your monthly report, sir.
Any questions on the monthly reports? At this time, I'm going to ask that we get a motion to recess.
That's a
Would you-
closed session item.
Would you be
We
interested?
could do that between now and 7, that'd be fantastic.
Can we do it? We got a photographer here to take a photograph. Mr. Kane, can you hold on? Or can we just come down front and take the photograph?
Yeah, go ahead and do your photograph, and then we can do that closed session.
Yep.
That's fine.
You wanna do that now?
Sweater. Cheers.
He said he wanted it straight out.
I'll let you.
Oh, did it? Uploaded or whatever?
I had IT come in and help me
Huh.
because there was so many files.
Uh-huh.
So ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do a triangle basically, where the mayor will be in the center, and then if you will take your respective spots, going back to the corner. I'm gonna check light while we're waiting. We're still in open session. Hey, Mr. King.
See you later.
Oh, man, I didn't think I was gonna make it till it's. At this time, do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Motion to go to closed session.
Second.
All opposed? Yeah, anyone opposed? If not, we're in closed session.
Did you vote? We had a motion and a second, we didn't have a vote.
All in favor of going into closed session, raise your hand. Okay, we're in closed session. It's 7:01. Goldsboro City Council regular meeting agenda for Monday, November 15th is 2021 is in session. At this time, I'll invite Pastor Jimmy Bryant of the Bridge Church to come forward and give us our invocation. Please stand. And we'll follow with the pledge of allegiance.
Let's all pray. Father, I thank you for your grace, Father, and for your mercy. And I thank you for allowing me, Lord, to be here at our city council meeting, Lord, for our city of Goldsboro, North Carolina. And God, I asked you, Father, to give us your blessings with the decisions that these councilmen and councilwomen make this night. Lord, I pray to you, Father, that with these issues and decisions that are made tonight, Lord, you'll help us to give our city peace, to give our city hope to the hopeless, to help us find homes for the homeless, Lord. That you, Almighty Father, will help with these good people to address the issues against drugs and crime, as well as the goodwill of the good people of our land. And Lord, give us prosperity to our city as you see fit, Lord. Father, I asked, Lord, that you help and guide us, these councilmen and councilwomen, to make good decisions and just decisions, in which you, Almighty God, we ask, Father, that you will help us to place our city and our community as a light in this world around us, Father. Lord, as we pray and look in the scriptures, Numbers 6:24-26, it says, "May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace." And Father, I pray this in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Thank you, sir.
Somebody pray allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Mayor Ham,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak,
Here.
Councilmember Jones. Here. Councilmember Broadway.
Here.
Councilmember Matthews. Councilmember Gaylor.
Present.
Councilmember Acock.
Here. Okay, we're all here. Before we go to the approval of minutes, I just want to make a clarification that we went into closed session for a matter of personnel issue. Okay, so this time we'll put forth a motion to approve the minutes of the work session and regular meeting of November 1, 2021. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Is there a second? Second. Motion is made and second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion is carried. At this time, we have some presentations, and the first one is the warm body, warm soul presentation. Is anyone here to speak to that? Please come forward. You took me up on your offer, did? Sorry. I said you took me up on the offer to come and speak, right? Tell us your names and then tell us about your organization.
My name is Verdi Bazale, and this is Evelyn B. Sutton, and we are pastors of End Time Crusaders for Christ Ministries, and we're here to present our nonprofit outreach ministry called Warm Body, Warm Soul Help Center. And we want to introduce ourselves to let you know that we are in the community and we are offering services to the community. We're located on 1607A Royal Avenue. We've been operating since July 19th, 2021, and we are glad to be here in this community. So we just want to do our presentation, let you know what we do and where our services are going.
Tell us what you do.
Okay. First of all, I want to tell you our mission statement.
Okay.
Our mission statement is to empower and uplift. Okay. Which one? The bottom? Okay. The bottom.
Middle, in the middle.
Oh, this technology. We're Warm Body, Warm Soul Help Center, and we're located on 1607A Royal Avenue. And our mission statement is to empower and uplift individuals of all walks of life, offering hope, showing compassion, and spreading love throughout the community. We are End Time Crusaders for Christ Ministries. Warm Body, Warm Soul Help Center, which is our nonprofit outreach ministry, was birthed from this ministry. We have witnessed families and individuals throughout our community. Homelessness, hunger, drug addiction, mental illness, and those that just fell on hard times. Our passion is to help the helpless help themselves. We want to effectively create growth and a positive change in our communities by partnering with those that share our passion, vision, and concern. We understand and believe that together, everyone accomplishes more. And these are the services that we offer: Fed, Feed, Empower, Deliver, Wash with Care, Laundry, Dress My Way clothing, toiletries, blankets, sleeping bags, housing, and job resources. Our Fed, which is pre-packed lunches, we serve Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. We deliver these meals to the camps, to the homeless, to some of the camps. And they are pre-packed meals, which are not hot meals, but they're just pre-packed meals. We also offer Wash with Care laundry cards, where we load money on the cards and we distribute it to the individuals on first and third Thursdays so they can wash and dry their clothes. And we are partnered with the Wash House. The toiletry bags, the blankets, and sleeping bags are available upon the individual needs. We've had some to come to the center looking for washcloths, toothbrush, toothpaste, you know, things like that, blankets, according to their needs. And the Dress My Way Clothing Center, individuals can come and choose what they want to wear. If they have an interview and they don't have the appropriate attire for their interview, they can just come in, choose what they want free of charge. We have men clothing, women, children, shoes, as you can see, purses, jewelry. These things were donated from our donors, and they were so kind to give us these things, so they are free of charge. And we assist also in housing, job search. We have 4 desk stations at the center, only 2 computers. The individuals can come in and search for jobs. We help them, assist them in searching for emergency shelters and housing. We have a list of resources. We have had individuals that have found housing. They rent or temporary housing. And we do follow-ups on these individuals. We do follow-ups. Some have come out of the camp. Some are enter into drug treatments. So we're thankful for that, and we're just hoping that they stay on the right path with that. Also, we sponsor events. We also are invited to join other organizations in their events. The Veteran Stand Down 2021, we also help veterans, serving them in need. We did the Serving Veterans in Need at the T.C. Coley Community Center back in October. We did a back-to-school drive where we distributed backpacks, back-to-school supplies. We honor our senior citizens with National Senior Citizens Day. We did care bags for them. We did a fish fry and a clothing giveaway. We prepared fish meals free of charge. Only thing we accepted donations on that day. So, and these are our partners who we partner with. And we partner with NC Works Career Center where we do the job search. And we have had some that completed the class that NC Works offer to help with resumes, to help with interviewing. So we've had some to complete that class. And thank you for allowing us to come and share who we are, what we are, and where we are. Thank you.
These two ladies wanted to sit down with me and explain their program, and I listened, and I was really impressed with what you do, and I suggested you come and speak to us, the council, and to the public in general.
Yes.
And I want to remind the public that your facility on Royal Avenue is manned all the time. There's someone there all the time.
Yes.
That if you want to make a contribution of whatever it might be, money or in kind, whatever, they'll gladly be there to take your contribution. Thank you, ladies, so much for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we got some employee performance awards.
Yes, sir. I'd like to do the Employee of the Quarter, first quarter fiscal year 21-22, has been awarded to engineer David Grice. David is the absolute definition of a star employee. He gives his heart and soul on a daily basis for the betterment of his company and his department. He displays exceptional leadership qualities and an infectious work ethic that spreads throughout his company and his station. Above his normal duties as an engineer, David is also the team leader for the Fire Explorer program, taking young individuals and allowing them to experience the team concept of the fire service. He serves as a leader, mentor, and role model, teaching these young individuals a range of skills from properly rolling a fire hose to effective job interview skills. David volunteers for the betterment of the children involved, and because he feels so passionate about the fire service in his community, David serves as the leader of the annual breast cancer t-shirt fundraiser program, overseeing the entire process from design development to the presentation of the check to the cure for Colors Director. David is also in charge of the car seat safety program, working closely with Safety Kids of Wayne County. He single-handedly oversaw the training of certification maintenance for the entire department because of his passion for helping the community and the fire department. David is an outstanding employee, always setting the bar higher for himself and others. David's work ethic and accomplishments reflect well on himself and the city of Goldsboro. So at this time, if I could get Mr. Grice up to do the presentation. Got a check here for you, as well as the presentation, and Toy will take a picture here for us. You want to do it?
Well,
I think we're okay. Thank you.
We have any family members here? Any guests, sir?
Anybody else like to take a picture?
Come on up.
Come on up. I'm gonna do a quick handshake with this thing here, and sure they can join us. Anybody else from the fire department wants to come up? Taking one more picture, but anybody want to say something about this young man? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Now on to the supervisor of the quarter. Here. All right. has been awarded to Lee Peter. Lee consistently exhibits patience, understanding, and empathy to everyone that she encounters. She handles every customer issue with care and concern and works quickly to resolve the issue in a fair and expedient manner. Lee managed to handle many customer concerns and problems, supervise the billing and collections and meter staff, and monitor the AMI system and the utility billing system with effortless grace and skill. Lee played a critical role in the transition to the new utility billing and AMI systems, and the department would not be as far along today if it had not been for her tenacity and dedication. Lee continues to expand her knowledge and goes beyond what is required to seek solutions to problems without being asked. It is an honor and pleasure to work with Lee each day. Lee is a great example of true professionalism to staff and coworkers and always shares the best of herself with others. Lee's work ethic and accomplishments reflect well on herself and the city of Goldsboro. So Lee, if you come on up, thank you very much for what you do. And this is not an easy job, the building of the water.
Mr. Peter, come on up. Come on up. Her husband is also a city employee.
Thank you very much. You want to join us for a picture? Come on, come on up.
So, Lee, as I said, she is just grace personified. She deals with so many customers and so many customers that are in very difficult situations. I mean, just gut-wrenching, bring tears to your eyes. And she does so equitably and fairly, and she does it quickly. She tries to resolve problems. And, Lee has a great team. She supervises 9 people, and she and her team are responsible for at least a third of that revenue. So $20 million, this lady makes sure that it gets billed properly and fairly. And so I just can't say enough about how much she's made a difference in my life, having her here on our team. I'm so proud of working with her. I mean, there's just not enough I could help, give her kudos for all that she does. I mean, I just really enjoy it, and I appreciate her every day.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to the public hearing section. We'll start off with SU 10-21, east side of South Berkeley Boulevard between Ash Street and Elm Street.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Our first public hearing tonight will be concerning a special use permit for a tattoo studio, as the mayor said, to be located on the east side of South Berkeley Boulevard between Ash Street and Elmore Street. Let's see here. Madam Clerk, I'm looking for
The city manager has it on his page.
What you need? Sorry.
That's all right. All right. So the applicant is requesting a special use permit for the operation of a tattoo parlor. This property is located in the general business zoning district within a commercial strip shopping center containing 9 individual tenant spaces. The applicant operates an existing tattoo parlor at 112Q South Berkeley Boulevard. He provides tattoo services by appointment only and caters to professionals, including servicemen from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. He desires to relocate his business within a new tenant space which has greater visibility for attracting new customers. The site is accessed by one 20-foot wide two-way curb cut from South Berkeley Boulevard. The applicant has submitted a floor plan for the tattoo parlor, identifying a total of 5 workstations, a break room, a lobby area, and restrooms for customers and employees of the facility. There are a total of 45 parking spaces, including 2 handicap spaces on the site. Based on the existing uses within the commercial strip center, a sufficient amount of parking spaces are available to serve the entire development. Days and hours of operations are Monday through Friday, noon to 6 p.m., with a total number of 5 employees. Since the building on the lot is existing and only 1 unit is to be leased for the proposed tattoo parlor, the applicant will not be required to retrofit the site to meet current requirements as they relate to landscaping. At this time, no action is necessary. The Planning Commission will have a recommendation for City Council at their December 6, 2021 meeting.
Okay, this is a public hearing for the issue of issue 1021. Anyone having or desiring to speak for or against this request, please come forward. I will ask you to be sworn in by the clerk. Anyone wishing to speak to this issue, please come forward. There being no one to come forward, we'll move to the next item. Issue 1121, northwest of the terminus of Overbrook Road and Pine Ridge Lane.
Thank you, Mayor. This will be another special use permit request for an accessory dwelling. The applicant is requesting a special use permit for the construction of an accessory dwelling located at 127 Overbrook Road. According to the city's Unified Development Code, accessory dwellings are permitted in all single-family zoning districts or developed lots with the exception of the agricultural zoning district only after the attainment of a special use permit approved by City Council. The approval criteria for accessory dwellings are as follows. Number 1, they must comply with all applicable local, state, and federal housing codes. Only 1 accessory dwelling or apartment may be permitted per lot. Number 2, the accessory dwelling or accessory apartment shall not exceed 40% of the square footage of the livable area of the principal structure, or 1,100 square feet of gross floor area, whichever is less. Number 3, an accessory dwelling shall be sited to the rear of the principal structures. All accessory dwellings shall meet the setback requirements established for the principal structures of the district in which they are located. Number 4, the exterior of the accessory dwelling shall be compatible with the principal residence in terms of color, siding, roof pitch, window detailing, roofing materials, and foundation or skirting appearance. Manufactured homes shall not be pulled or attached to a single. Well, that's not applicable. Number 5, where there is no public sanitary sewer service to the accessory dwelling, the county health department shall approve sanitary services provided to such accessory dwelling unit. The discussion pertains to, again, that according to the submitted application, the applicant is requesting a special use permit for the construction of a 12-foot wide by 20-foot deep, approximately 240 square feet accessory dwelling to be located in the rear yard of the property. Currently, the property is occupied by a single-story, 3,100 square foot single-family dwelling. The applicant is proposing to initiate a complete remodel of her principal dwelling and desires to reside in the tiny home until the renovation is complete. Afterwards, only members of her immediate family would be allowed to utilize the accessory structure. The property is located in the R16 residential zoning district. Staff has informed the applicant of the fact that the proposed accessory dwelling must be constructed to meet the minimum requirements of the North Carolina State Building Code, as well as supplemental regulations of the city's UDO for accessory dwellings. If the applicant's request for a special use permit is approved, building elevations, a site plan, floor plan, and construction specifications shall be submitted and approved by city staff before building permits can be issued. Again, no action is necessary by City Council. The Planning Commission will have a recommendation for the Council's meeting on December the 6th, 2021. And try to do an overhead aerial for you. Ms. Bell's property is located, identified by the red square in the rear of her property there. It's kind of hard to see the property lines.
Okay, this is a special use request for northwest, accessory dwelling for northwest of the terminus of Overbrook Road and Pine Ridge Lane. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this request, please come forward. If there's more than one of you then that want to speak, all of you come forward, get sworn in. Anyone wish to speak? If there's no one wishing to speak, we'll close the hearing on that item. The next item is SU 1221, Wayne Company Project Shell, located at the corner of Callan Court and Gateway Drive and within Park East of the City of Goldsboro Industrial Business Park.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, the third special use permit request is by Wayne County's Project Shell for a chemical manufacturing facility to be located at the corner of Callan Court and Gateway Drive. The applicant is requesting a special use permit for the operation of a chemical manufacturing facility in the Industrial Business Park IBP 1 zoning district. On August 6, 2018, Goldsboro City Council approved site, landscape, and building elevation plans for the County of Wayne to construct a commercial shell building at the proposed site for industry recruitment purposes. Once a specific use was determined for the site, complete and detailed site plans would be required and approved by city officials before construction permits would be issued. On September 20th, 2021, a public hearing was conducted to consider proposed minor text amendments to Article 5 of the city's UDO to reflect the addition of chemical products, manufacturing and processing, and the storage or treatment of hazardous materials or chemical uses as a special use within the industrial business zoning district. Moving on to page 2. On October the 4th, 2021, City Council accepted the recommendation of the Planning Commission and adopted an ordinance amending the UDO to reflect the addition of chemical products, manufacturing and processing, and the storage or treatment of hazardous materials or chemical uses as a special use within the Industrial Business Park zoning district and the associated minor text amendments pertaining thereto. So, according to our UDO, chemical manufacturing facilities are classified as community-sensitive heavy industrial uses. As such, the following supplemental regulations are required for the proposed use. Number 1, the entire area of the site shall be enclosed by a 6-foot high opaque fence set back 100 feet from any public right-of-way or residentially developed or zoned property and 50 feet from any other adjacent property. Number 2, the yard area between the fence and the property line not used for parking shall be planted with grass and have landscaping composed of large trees spaced not more than 40 feet apart and not less than 1 row of shrubs 30 inches in height. Space that they will form a continuous visual screen 6 feet in height within 3 growing seasons. Number 3, no loading or unloading of materials shall occur outside the fenced area. Number 4, a statement shall be submitted with the plans indicating whether any manufacturing or processing operation will create smoke, offensive odor, dust, noise, fumes, or vibrations beyond the lot lines of the proposed use. If one or more of such conditions exist, the developer shall explain what measures will be taken to mitigate such conditions to acceptable levels. Moving on to page 3. Number 5, the uses shall be located a minimum of 1,000 feet from any residentially developed or zoned property. The 1,000-foot separation distance shall be measured in a straight line from property line to property line with no consideration as to intervening structures, road, or landforms. So the applicant has submitted site, landscape, stormwater, grading, and drainage plans for the proposed use. Let's see if we can bring that up. Okay. As well as a floor plan for the existing 50,000 square foot commercial shell building. The building will consist of offices, a conference room, a lobby, break room, locker room, and restrooms for employees of the facility. The other remaining 47,000 square foot of space will be reserved for chemical manufacturing processes. Additional acreage is available for future expansion purposes. Access to the site is from Callan Court. The southernmost access drive is paved and leads to a parking lot containing 18 parking spaces. Parking manufacturing operations require 1 space per 2 employees on the maximum shift, plus 1 space for each vehicle stored on site. Currently, there are 12 employees that will occupy the facility. The existing 18 parking spaces will provide sufficient parking for the proposed use Again, additional acreage is available for future parking expansion purposes. Engineering. City engineering will require approval of stormwater calculations and drainage plans prior to the issuance of construction permits. Currently, the property is not located within the Goldsboro corporate limits. City water and sewer are available to serve the property. In accordance with the Goldsboro Code of Ordinances, Section 5317, the proposed use is classified as industrial. As such, a formal agreement shall be executed by the applicant for voluntary annexation on or before the expiration of 7 years from the date of the certificate of occupancy has been issued for the facility. The site is not located in Seymour Johnson Air Force Base's accident potential zone or within the noise overlay contour. Base officials have commented that they do not foresee any concerns with the proposed use with regards to emergency hazards and do not anticipate it impacting the base's hazard assessments protocol. Refuse collection, the commercial dumpster corral has not been shown on the submitted site plan. The corral will be required to be built to city standards and screened from public view. And lastly, if council approves a special use permit and associated site plans, the property will be subject to compliance with the city's subdivision review ordinance and the North Carolina State Building Code before construction permits can be issued. Again, no action is necessary. The Planning Commission will have a recommendation for the council meeting on December 6, 2021. Thank you.
So, again, this is a special use 1221 Wayne County Project Shell. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak? Madam Clerk, swear the, anyone wishing to speak, come on up and we'll do the swearing in at one time. Okay, sir. Sir, give the clerk your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Willie Smith. That's WILLIESMITH.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, first of all, I had no intention of even saying anything about, because I know what's going on tonight. I'm a observer for ARP Chapter 3381 here in Goldsboro. But when I hear about what you're talking about, the chemical plant, I'm from Mobile, Alabama, and I'm a resident there since I was born. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it or not, but they got an issue going on that. But for years, Africa Town is where they found out they had slaves at Mobile, Alabama. But the problem was we had an international paper company, we had Sky Paper Company, and all those. And I don't know if this facility is into that in depth or not. But anytime I hear the word chemicals, it bothers me because I say I don't have many facts or statistics about what this plant is going to be doing, but the fact that they're chemicals, I know anytime you got chemicals, you have to have a place to dump chemicals. Now, I don't particularly know much about Goldsboro water, but I don't drink Goldsboro water because when I turn my faucet on, all I smell is chlorine and other stuff. So my concern right off the bat when I hear chemicals, that they're going to have some place to deal with the waste and stuff that's coming from it. And me being here in Goldsboro, I've observed something for the last 20 years I've been here. The cancer rate in Goldsboro, for some reason, seems to be higher than levels of other places around other communities. Now, I don't know why that is, but my assumption is, and this might be not agreeable, but it's not agreeable as a fact. Anyway, you have a military base, especially when you got airplanes stuff flying around, you got issues where you got, so my concern is, I'm in objection to it without knowing anything about it because of the fact it's a chemical plant. Right now, I'm battling cancer, which probably had nothing to do with chemicals. But the thing is, I'm going to just ask that you all would counter, I guess, and then one of the questions I have is in reference to the waste and dumping of the waste from the chemicals. Where's that going to be done at?
I can't answer that. Are you representing the Shell building, sir?
Yes.
Can you answer that question?
Sure. My name is Rob Voorhees. I'm the president of Micron International, the owner or the potential owner of this facility. So, I can answer some of your questions, I think. So our basic business is equipment manufacturing.
Sir, can you move closer to the microphone, please?
We're an equipment manufacturer, a global equipment manufacturer that makes industrial milling machines and dryers and things like that. And we also operate a business that processes dry powder materials. So we're not a chemical manufacturer. What we intend to do at this facility is we process materials for people like BASF or DuPont. They ship us materials, and our business is basically size reduction. We reduce them in size to a specific particle size and shape, and they take the material back and use it within their process, whatever. So there's no residual chemical waste that you're concerned about. 100% comes in and 100% goes back to the customer. We don't manufacture any chemicals here. We don't dispose of any chemicals here. In fact, customers want all the chemicals back because they're paying for them all to be processed. So what we propose to install here is several milling stations and blending stations where we'll take material in, we'll process it, and then we'll ship it back to the end customer. And that's what this business is about. It's not a true chemical manufacturing site. So hopefully that answers some of your questions.
Sir, go ahead. You have the floor.
And I hear what you're saying, but my ears heard waste, saying something about waste disposal. So what you're saying and what I thought I heard, unless I misinterpret what I heard, what you're saying and what saying I heard doesn't seem to match up. But again, it says that you all are manufacturing. Now, that's different than manufacturing and what you're talking about doing. So I'm saying, so which one is it? Because on this paper, it says that you all are a chemical manufacturing facility. So, but you're telling me, but what you just described now is manufacturing facility. So I'm trying to figure, so either this is wrong or what you're saying is wrong. So which one is it?
Just based off the research that our staff has done with regards to the facility, I think it may come down to semantics with regards to manufacturing versus processing. Just like Mr. Voorhees has told you tonight, he's taking a raw material and processing it into for dust or powder type applications. At this point in time, our ordinance, for what we had for classifying this use was manufacturing. But again, whether it's manufacturing or processing, we're still classifying it as an industrial use nonetheless. And we feel like that is the proper application for coming before the board tonight and asking for a special use permit.
Okay. All right, sir, you're still up.
As I stated earlier, I had no intention of coming up, but I still have concerns, and my hope is that, because it seems that all this has already been approved based on what I'm hearing, just about it's almost like it's 90% is going to be done regardless, but I still feel that as a citizen of Goldsboro, I don't, for some reason, I'm not saying nobody's lying, but from what I'm hearing, I don't hear being said from this gentleman what I heard the gentleman that presented say. So I would ask that you all consider, I guess, get some more in-depthness about what's going to really be happening here, because something, as Mama used to say, in this milk ain't clean. And I'm just not, I can't, I don't know what's going on, but I just don't agree with what I heard, because the two, what they're saying, they're not matching up. That's no matching up to.
So tonight, we're just listening, we're not voting. You'll have an opportunity to attend the Planning Commission meeting. They will, what's the date of that?
That will be the last Monday of this month.
Okay, so last Monday of this month, this matter will come up to the Planning Commission for discussion, and they will make a recommendation back to the council.
All right, thank you. And by that time, I will do some research on my own, and hopefully I'll be able to come with some facts instead of just, my accusation of opinion. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
I want to address, sir, your concern, and I want to ask you this also. Do you have any ventilation protocols? I heard you say you're going to convert a raw material into a dry powder. So would there be any case where, I think his concern is something seeping into the groundwater, any particulates that may exit that factory or shell building? Is there any protocols in place as far as a manufacturing or processing standpoint that may go into the environment from the outside of that structure?
So this type of industry is heavily regulated by the state. So we have already gone through the process of getting the operating permits from the state of North Carolina. And they're very strict. We had to fill out a lot of forms about, you know, what the potential emissions are, the amount of material that could potentially escape from the facility, how it's contained. So that's all been done. And the reason I came tonight was to answer questions for like this gentleman has, to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with what we're doing. The last thing I want to do is move my business to North Carolina here in Goldsboro and then have problems with the local community or with the town. So I'm perfectly willing to give you any information you'd like to have in order to evaluate this new business potential here at the industrial park.
Thanks.
Sir, do you have any other comments you want to make?
No, I don't have anything else for tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, this ends this public hearing on SU 1221. If we have any planning commission meetings, members here, you're welcome to excuse yourself, or you can stick around, whichever. Okay, the next item is a contiguous annexation request, Tiffany Gardens Phase 1. Do we have someone? Well, we'll have the planning commission, planning department speaker first.
Thank you, Mayor. Lastly, tonight from the planning department, we do have a public hearing that has been scheduled tonight for Tiffany Gardens Phase 1. I know you folks have heard of this. For the last 2 times we've met, we've gone through the proper procedures in accordance with annexation policy for the city of Goldsboro and the state of North Carolina. So now we're coming to the final process. Again, the property is located on the south side of Central Heights Road between North Oak Forest Drive and Thoroughfare Road. The property consists of 8.63 acres. The City Council at their meeting on November the 1st, 2021 scheduled a public hearing for the proposed annexation of the subject property. A public hearing notice was properly advertised stating the time, place, and purpose of the meeting. Pursuant to General Statutes 168-31, at the public hearing, all persons owning property in the area proposed to be annexed, as well as the residents of the municipality, shall be given an opportunity to be heard on the proposed annexation. If the council determines that the proposed annexation meets all the requirements of General Statutes 168-31, it has the authority to adopt an annexation ordinance. Attached is a report prepared by the planning department in conjunction with other departments concerning the subject annexation area. All city services can be provided to the property. Before I go to the recommendation, I'll direct you to the report. This may be the second or third appendix connected to the agenda memo. But as you'll see, it gives you a property description, population, acreage, zoning of the property. Of course, you see a meets and bounds description of the proposed site, the qualifications for annexation, because it is adjacent and contiguous to city boundaries on its northern and western sides. Let's see. For the extension of municipal services, you'll see that fire protection can be provided to the property as well as police protection. Public Works can provide commercial refuse service. There are no public streets included within the petition for annexation. City water and sewer lines are available to serve the property at the property line. The voting district, the city adopted a new official election district boundary map on July 5th, 2011. It is customary to add a newly annexed area to the nearest voting district. Therefore, this area, if annexed, will be added to district number 2. unless the city council instructs the city staff to include this area in another district. Staff findings are that the proposed annexation meets the city's requirements as outlined in all the above items. And then lastly, you'll see an ordinance annexing the certain real property to the city of Goldsboro. I'll just now go back to the recommendation from staff. Let's see. By motion after the public hearing, adopt the attached ordinance annexing Tiffany Gardens Phase 1 effective November the 15th, 2021. So again, after tonight, this will, if there are no objections, the city leaders have the opportunity to vote whether or not to annex the subject property. Thank you.
Is anyone here wishing to speak for or against this ordinance? Okay. If they're not, council members, you've heard the presentation. There's a copy of the ordinance in your packet. Anyone have any questions on the ordinance? If not, is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the ordinance, raise your hand. Okay. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that concludes the public hearing section. We'll now move into the public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward, and remind you that you have 3 minutes to speak on the subject that you're speaking of. So please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? There appears to be no one wishing to speak, so we'll move into the consent agenda items.
Yes, sir. Consent agenda items H through K are presented for council approval.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve consent agenda items H through K. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of approving, raise your hand. Oh, excuse me, roll call.
Mayor Ham?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones? Yes. Councilmember Broadway?
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews?
Yes.
Councilmember Gaylor?
Yes.
Councilmember Aycock?
Yes.
Okay, we have, motion is carried. Next item is items requiring individual action. We have none, and I'll move to the city manager's report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'd like to thank all the department heads and city employees that helped me put together the State of the City presentation that was done last week. If anyone didn't get a chance to see that, they can find it on our homepage under News and Updates. I'd like to thank all the participants who helped with the Veterans Day Parade and those who came and supported it. That, as well as the wreath laying at the Veterans Memorial, they were well attended and well done events, so thank you very much. Lights Up will be the next big event on November 23rd. And I've been asked by council members to address recent city employee resignations, so I'd like to do that at this time. Many news stories have covered the resignations that are happening around the country. 3% of the workforce has resigned in each of the last 3 months. The resignation rate has typically been about 2.2% over the last 5 years. The city employee turnover rate has gone from 1 to 1.5%, which is slightly more than the average for government. There are many reasons for recent resignations. Let me describe what I think is having the biggest impact locally. COVID pandemic burnout and lessons learned are leading people to examine their work-life balance. Some find other job opportunities that best fit their current needs. It could be a promotion, more pay, better work schedule, commute flexibility, and overall happiness. Those that can telework may do so for more money in a higher cost of living area without living or commuting there. This may offer more personal and family time as well as less risks to the coronavirus. Many employers are looking for trustworthy employees, government employees that are well-trained and experienced, especially if telework's involved in minimal supervision. Also, the city's delayed audits and fund balance concerns in the midst of inflation pressures have led some employees to question whether they will get a cost of living allowance to maintain their standard of living or a pay increase to raise their standard of living. So what has the city done about this? We've enabled telework to the degree practical and retained reasonable COVID policies, such as wearing a face mask when you're inside within 6 feet of another person. We have done targeted pay raises for the police department, the fire department, public works, public utilities, and other departments through retention, certification, and position reclassification efforts. We will give a holiday bonus this year, $250 after taxes, before Thanksgiving to help with expenses. I'd like to thank the council and department heads for helping with that. We will continue to treat our employees with respect and let them know how much we appreciate what they do for their work and dedication to the citizens, the residents and visitors of Goldsboro. We will do an employee survey to get feedback from our employees. And we will hire the best applicants possible as soon as practical. Last, we will review the FY 19-20 audit when it gets done and the 21 budget audit results, as well as the 21-22 execution, as we discussed earlier tonight, to address COLA and other concerns such as training and equipment. I hope this answers the council's questions. Thank you.
Any questions of the manager? Okay, at this time we have a couple of acknowledgements, presentations to make, and I'm going to start off by asking Councilman Pollock to present a resolution expressing appreciation to Jerry Artis for service to the city of Goldsboro for more than 27 years. Is Mr. Artis here? He's not here. You can go ahead and read it, though.
Resolution expressing appreciation for services rendered by Jerry Artis as an employee of the city of Goldsboro for more than 27 years. Whereas Jerry Artis retires on November 30th, 2021 as a solid waste heavy equipment operator with the Public Works Department of the city of Goldsboro with more than 27 years of service. And whereas Jerry began his career on February 16th, 1994 as an equipment operator 2 with the General Service Department. And whereas Jerry's position was reclassified to equipment operator with the Public Works Department. And whereas Jerry's position was reclassified as solid waste heavy equipment operator with the Public Works Department, where he has served until his retirement. And whereas Jerry has proven himself to be a dedicated and efficient public servant who has gained the admiration and respect of his fellow workers and the citizens of the city of Goldsboro. And whereas the mayor and city council of the city of Goldsboro are desirous on behalf of themselves, city employees, and the citizens of the city of Goldsboro of expressing to Jerry Artis their deep appreciation and gratitude for the service rendered by him to the city over the years. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of Goldsboro, North Carolina, that we express to Jerry our very best wishes for his success, happiness, prosperity, and good health in his future endeavors. This resolution shall be incorporated into the official minutes of the city of Goldsboro and shall be in full force and effect from and after this 15th day of November 2021.
At this time, I'd like to have a motion to adopt a resolution.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there a second? All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Small Business Saturday Proclamation, and Councilman Gaylor, would you read this, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the city of Goldsboro celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 31.7 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of all firms with paid employees, and they are responsible for 65.1% of net new jobs created from 2000 to 2019. And whereas small businesses employ 47.1% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, 88% of U.S. consumers feel a personal commitment to support small businesses in the wake of the pandemic, and 92% of small business owners have pivoted the way they do business to stay open during the pandemic. And whereas 97% of small business Saturday shoppers recognize the impact they can make by shopping small, 85% of them also encouraged friends and family to do so too. And whereas 56% of shoppers reported they shopped online with a small business on Small Business Saturday in 2020, and more than 50% of consumers who reported shopping small endorsed a local business on social media or shopped at a local business because of a social media recommendation. And whereas Goldsboro, North Carolina supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups as well as private and public organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now, therefore, I, Mayor Ham, Mayor of the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim November 27th, 2021 as Small Business Saturday in the City of Goldsboro, and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Goldsboro, North Carolina, this the 15th day of November 2021.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go around the table here and for any comments council members may have. Let's start with Ms. Jones.
Well, I actually don't have any comments. I just want to make a statement. I want to wish everyone here and everyone that's listening to have a grateful Thanksgiving. And I'd like to end with a quote by Maya Angelou that says, "Let gratitude be the pillow that you sleep on each night, and let faith be the bridge you build to overcome evil and welcome goodness." Have a grateful Thanksgiving.
I just want to congratulate our employees of the month and the quarter that have done, especially Engineer Grace going above and beyond for the car seats, and also his mentoring the Explorer post. That is so important, and I think you'll agree with me that I just want to commend him, and also Ms. Peters too, for putting up with, I know, all kinds of complaints. So they're two heroes for us. And that's all I have, sir.
I just want to thank my colleagues for your prayers in my absence during my last council meeting due to illness. I also want to acknowledge the wonderful Veterans Day Parade and all the individuals that have participated. Finally, I want to recognize Mr. Thomas Rice and his team for their vision, the overall cost of the Miracles Love for Life 40-home community will be around projected $4 million, in which they have received $500,000 towards this project. This interview was showcased on WRL, so anyone that wants to see that, that was a very touching segment that they did. And I just want to recognize him as well with his consistency and some of the benefactors that have helped. I would like to say thank you for those efforts. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to announce that District 4 is doing a Love Thy Neighbor tour drive. I mentioned this idea to a couple of residents and they thought it was great, so I reached out to the Department of Social Services. So I definitely want to thank Ms. Kimberly McGuire, the director over there, who jumped in there and helped me out. The Department of Social Services identified 3 families within my district that could use some extra love, care, and attention for the Christmas holiday. So we have set up a registry at Walmart. There are 13 kids, and all of the toys that they have requested have been added to that registry. I have added that link to my councilwoman page, but I will ask city staff if they would add it to this live so you can have the link. You can go directly there and make the purchases. Once all the purchases are collected, we will contact DSS and they will distribute those gifts. All names and ages, well, not the ages, but all the names have been withheld for confidentiality reasons. So I am asking all of you guys to let's support one another and help make Christmas for those kids just a little bit more special this year. Thank you.
Yes, Mary Ann, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to read that proclamation for Small Business Saturday. I would just encourage everyone, as we have an amazing Thanksgiving and as we finish celebrating a wonderful Veterans Day, as you look forward to to Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Small Business Saturday, make a concerted effort as you're looking for those things to purchase, be it to donate or be it to give to a family member, whatever it is. Even if you're looking online, look for a place that's local. You spend your money here in town, it stays in town. And that makes a huge difference. Not only on the sales tax numbers, but it makes a huge difference for the local employees, the local shop owners, and it makes a huge difference in community pride and community support. So thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. I look forward to seeing everyone in December.
Yes, just a couple of things. I'm glad that we're able to give our employees a $250 bonus at Christmas. This is more than we've given them in the last few years. But I also think we need to look hard at, in our next budget cycle, to see if we can give them a raise, because the standard of living and the cost of living is going up faster than I have seen in the last 10 or 15 years. And we have to keep up with that for our employees. Second thing is I commend Councilwoman Matthews for her efforts about the Christmas toy drive. That's it.
Okay, my comments have been already spoken to, but I'll reiterate the success of our Veterans Day activities that the manager spoke of and Councilman Broadway spoke of. It was a great success. We had a great turnout. So I want to thank all of the public who showed up for that and had a great day for it weather-wise. Also, again, one of the items I was going to speak to is small business. Our small businesses here in Goldsboro, wherever they are, whatever street they are, depend on our citizens to shop there for their success. And like was stated, the money stays here, the taxes stay here, and it benefits everyone. And finally, again, Thanksgiving is coming up. A lot of us will be traveling. I will not be traveling necessarily, but a lot of people will be traveling. Wanted you to travel safely, and that's about it. There's no further.
Sir.
Excuse
one
me.
more closed session item.
Oh, we have one more. Okay.
Potential litigation.
Okay. All right. We have a closed session item for litigation at this time. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any opposition, or if not, all in favor? Yep.
Can we give some directive about what's going to happen when we come out of closed session? Are we going to come back in this room? Can we, so the people know?
When you come out of closed session, we have to get back into open session, and then once it's back online, then y'all can then you can adjourn.
Yep. So we have a motion and a second. Is all in favor of going into closed session? Raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, we're in closed session. Ladies and gentlemen.
right, we're back on.
Okay, is there any other business to come before the council tonight? There being none, meeting adjourned.